Hari Om. To continue with 260 of the Holy Gita, which goes like this. Yatathohapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabham manaha. As we have seen the meaning of this earlier, it says, the senses are so strong and turbulent. Kaunteya, remember that they can carry away the mind even of a person endowed with discrimination and practicing self-control. So as we have seen that the mind, which has to be the ruler of the senses, if it falls, what happens? And in that regard, we have seen about Sama and Dhamma. First, we should have the control of the mind, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankara. And in case if something happens at the purity level of the mind, immediately we should realize and arise to the occasion and say, this is not me, and get back to the pure consciousness. Okay, it slips down from the mind and we are unaware and it comes to the body and senses. At least at that level we are supposed to awaken. When the hand rises to hit somebody, or when the mouth tries to speak something bad, right? Whatever it is, we should arrest it there. Even if it doesn't happen with momentum and force, we falter, then we should sit and contemplate, hey, why did I do like this? Next time when an occasion comes, I will not lose my balance. Constant cajoling of the mind is required. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a jiffy like that. It takes time. But practice should never be given up. As the saying goes, quitters never succeed and successful people will never quit. So you should never quit. Keep on practicing. As long as you are practicing, you are successful. You are in the right path. And as the saying goes, the meaning, how even a man practicing of self-control, a man with pure intellect, viveka, who has a discrimination, how can he fall? Is the question. For this, there is a wonderful story from Srimad Bhagavata Puranam, where a very, very great renowned saint, Shabari, will be there, who comes in the Rigveda actually, and even there are sutras and samhitas in his name. Jitendriya, who has conquered the indriyas, all the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas. Very reputed and a person of very great nature. So he could submerge into the river Yamuna and meditate underwater for years together. That was his potential, capacity and capabilities. And Yamuna is supposed to be very, very auspicious. There are people who do Yamuna Parikrama, as we do the Parikrama in Tiruvannamalai for the Girivalam. Here again around Yamuna, Ganga, they do Parikramas. And Yamuna is a very sacred river where you find a lot of saligramas and all there. Very powerful, and a lot of mendicants, rishis, munis, tapasvis, siddhas, and all will be there in a very, very subtle form. So he gets drowned, not drowned actually, he underwater, he keeps doing intense penance and tapas. So one day it so happens that when he opened his eyes, he sees two fish playing together. The sight of this in a jiffy carries away his mind and senses. And the desire to get associated with the other gender arose in him. See, such a great saint, with one sight for a second, he lost. He abandons all his spiritual practices, surfaces on the water, and keeps pondering about how to get this desire fulfilled. And he keeps moving about, and he comes to Ayodhya. During that period, Ayodhya was ruled by a very great man, Mandhata, very powerful king. In fact, even there is a Gotra also in his name. And in some of the Trayarishya, what do you call, Gotra, it is Angirisa Mandhata Kotsa, a very powerful Rishi Mandhata. And he is ruler of Ayodhya in those days, in the Vedic era. And this noble ruler, he was blessed with 50 enchanting, dazzling, beautiful daughters. Each daughter is more beautiful than the other. So this saint approaches the king and asks for the hand of one of the 50 princes. He has 50, so one. And now the king Mandhata is perplexed. He didn't know what to do because he was scared. If he says no, a great Rishi might curse. If he says yes, then one daughter's life gets ruined because he's a very, very, very old man. This Rishi is a very old ascetic monk. So he gets worried. He doesn't know what to do. Then he comes out with a strategy, idea. He says, "Oh Rishivar, you are a great man. I'll call all the 50 daughters. Whosoever chooses you, with them I get you wedded, I get you married. Swayamvara will be conducted." But Mandhata smiles and he says, "Okay, I shall come." The next day and returns to his kutir. He sits there, unable to meditate. Sayam Sandhya, Argya, he forgets. He forgets to offer the water obligation to the sun god, Sandhya Vandam, everything. Next day morning, Suryopasana, Argyam to the Lord, to the sun god, no, Gayatri Japam. So he was waiting for the clock to tick for the time to go to the palace. And understand that Rishi is a very powerful man. He understood that if he goes in that particular mendicant form, the princess may not like. And these yogic powers, he makes himself so handsome, so beautiful, so valorous, so powerful. In modern language, you call it the six-pack, six-footer. He comes to the palace, and for the surprise of the king Mandhata, all the 50, they fall in love and they say, "I want to get married." And as per it is, you see, those days when they give a word, they keep it up, not like current situation where people say 1,000 things and not even one will be followed. Therefore, the world is like this now, when the world was so beautiful then. So finally, he gets them married and they get back. The king will be wondering now how to handle these 50 princes. They'll be fighting amongst each other that they want their husband with him. And he is a very powerful saint. He manifests himself into 50 forms, creates 50 palaces, and he spends with them, with all 50 princesses, and he begets so many children, and their children, and then their children, great-grandchildren and all. We're so happy living. Imagine, the 3 generations. But still, a sense gratification, satisfaction is there. And with the last great-grandchild, when he was born, suddenly something comes to his mind. He rises to his senses and exclaims aloud, "Aho imam pashyame vinashyam." He says, "Oh, what so many years have done." This realization dawns, and then I tell what happens. You all know, and don't arise a question saying what happened later on. When the awakening happens, what happens. So it is for us to understand how downfall can happen even for such great saints. So be vigilant, be alert every second. And if any desire crops up, pause for a moment and say, is this really required? Is this wanted now? Without this, can't I? If you contemplate, I tell you, 99% of the things we don't need. We go about in a hunt for projection to show to the world that I have. The world doesn't care, my dear friends. We have to care for ourselves. Udharet Atma Atmana. So with this, I conclude this here today. Tomorrow we'll go for the next one. Thanks for being with me. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.